Është më e bukra, cila është më e bukra.
Tirana, kryeqyteti i Shqipërisë.
So, Bora, first of all, congratulations on a wonderful event. We're in Librazhd today, which is one of those cities that I've driven through a million times and never really thought to stop in. So why Librazhd? Why are we here today?
Two main reasons. The first reason is exactly because of that. Because usually what happens is a lot of people listen to different cities in Albania and they usually don't end up going there. And it's the same thing with activities for young people. We tend to have a lot more activities in the capital and in the bigger cities. And in the smaller cities, what happens is that young people are not that involved. So that's why we wanted this time to actually involve all of the young people from Librazhd in this activity. And not only, I don't know if you see behind me, there is a lot of traditional dances that are actually happening from young people from 10 different cities of Albania that have come to Librazhd for the first time to explore the beauty and the nature. And second is a little bit more personal as well. My granddad is actually from a small village from here in Librazhd, so I always feel like I have like a bigger connection to the city. But it's a little bit just to bring young people in the same place and to make sure that we give activities in those cities where it's actually most needed.
And is the aim, I mean, it's Children's Day, and for people who are not familiar with Children's Day, can you just explain quickly sort of what that is and what the aim is aside, I mean, after today ends and the schools close and the children go home, what do you want people to take away from it?
The point of today is actually to make sure that we have educative activities for young people that are also fun. So making sure that we're teaching them something and doing that in an entertaining way. So this is why today we had a lot of different corners where young people and children could actually learn. And the first corner was on agriculture and environment. So they had the opportunity to learn about the importance of planting as well as taking care of our environment. The other one was on financial education. So it was games, but also teaching them on the importance of money. And of course, we had the sports corner, which is always there in every activity that we have. So practically we did decide on a specific different corners throughout the activity where young people had the opportunity to learn and have fun. And this is what we try and do with every single program that we build in the ministry. So the same thing goes for our coding program that we started for the first grade, where we're teaching them how to code, but we're doing that through a fun interactive game that they can actually play. Because we've realized that it's not enough just to teach kids, it's also important to give them something that is entertaining and fun to do at the same time. So I guess that was the point of today. And also what we're trying to do is to make sure that the learning doesn't happen just in school, but it happens also in after school time, so in extracurricular activities. And this has been the goal of today's activity as well.
You mentioned earlier that you sort of chose Librazhd because it's one of those cities people sometimes forget about and activities can happen in more the main big cities. But what sort of challenges are you facing in your role sort of across the country? What are the recurrent challenges that you face when dealing with youth and in your work?
I think if I had to come up with 3 ways of describing every challenge that young people do face in all over Albania, it follows under the 3 pillars of the youth strategy. So we've actually compiled the National Youth Strategy for 2022 to 2029, and young people themselves identified the issues that bother them and the challenges that they had. So I did a tour all over Albania in 61 municipalities where I met people in 3 different groups. So the young teenagers, and then those that are in universities, and those that are young professionals. And they described their challenges falling under 3 categories. The first one is empowerment and engagement in decision-making. And that was the first one that they thought was an issue that needed to be tackled. Whereas the second one, it revolves around teaching them the skills and the qualities for the jobs of the future. So practically preparing them for what is needed in their future careers. And third, but not least in terms of importance, is of course in regards to welfare. So the whole components about making sure that young people have opportunities to follow sports, to follow their education, And we compile them in these three different broader spectrums. And what we've worked on is different policies for each of the fields that young people have described as challenges. And also in Librazhd and in smaller cities than Librazhd as well, the challenges tend to be unified under these three pillars. And what we're doing is we're trying that together with young people, we focus on each pillar and devise measures that can actually take care of the problems that they face.
And when you say skills for the future, you mentioned coding. This is exciting. My daughter will be starting first grade in a year and a half or so. So tell me about the coding and what else are you teaching kids how to prepare for the future? I mean, we're faced with this social media age, which I find terrifying. How is the government adapting to this new reality?
I think what we're doing is a lot of programs that we're coupling them together to prepare the young kids for what the future holds. So when we talk about coding, it looks like one thing, but actually when we teach them coding, we teach them about security, especially online security, which is very important with nowadays, especially with the online bullying and the many issues that kids actually face, especially with the social media. So our program in terms of coding has also the components of making sure you're safe on the internet and making sure that which people you should trust and which people you shouldn't trust, the whole concept of phishing and many other issues that young people can face. But not only that, we're also doing the Arts and Crafts project, which has the purpose of describing, well, allowing the young kids to explore their talents, as well as if they actually are talented, we can support them to follow their talents. And well, not only that, today you also saw our team sports. So our competitions that we've had between the young people of Albania, they've actually had championships in basketball, volleyball, where they're being taught and also sponsored by the government, both in terms of materials and in terms of equipment, as well as they're being trained 3 times a week. So the concept is to offer the opportunity to young people to actually explore their talents and also offer the opportunity to do these activities without any payment. So to offer that level of equality. So it doesn't matter what your parents do, it doesn't matter how much money your parents have, you still have the same right. And that is the thing that we're most proud of, that this kind of activities that we're offering them after school, they all have an equal access. And the purpose of most of our activities is to actually offer that kind of access.
And now another question to do with the demographic changes in Albania. It's not just talking about people leaving the country, but within the country. You know, you go to more rural areas and schools have closed, there are less and less children. How does your work interact with other ministries in order to kind of prevent this migration or encourage people to stay and make the best of where they are?
I think when we talk about migration, is always an issue that is not just faced by Albania, is an issue that is faced by every single country in the world in one moment or another. So, I mean, talking for myself, I used to live abroad. I did my education in the UK and then I decided to come back to Albania. So I believe in the strong opportunity that young people nowadays have to actually explore the rest of the world, learn more about the rest of the world, and actually come back to give back the know-how that they've actually gathered in those countries. Having said that, that doesn't mean that we aren't working on making sure that we give the opportunity for young people to choose Albania. Because I think that's the part that is important. It's not just about staying in Albania because you have nowhere else to go. And that's not what we're trying to teach them. What we're trying to teach them is that this is a choice. This is a conscientious choice that young people should make. And how we do that is, of course, not just by myself, because that would be too much of a challenge. And because my field, both youth and children, are horizontal, it means that I need to do a lot of coordination with the rest of the institutions, starting from Ministry of Education, where most of our programs rely on a good value of education, because that is one of the reasons that young people quote as an issue for living. But not only that, we work a lot with the Ministry of Infrastructure, because when we talk about little cities, then infrastructure definitely does become important, with the Ministry of Agriculture, because that is a way of a business, especially in an area like this. But I mean, I can probably give you 25 examples. I can give you come on, go ahead. Vazhdo. Come here. So at least you know that this area is being used and very active. So I think what I was trying to say is that we do collaborate with every single institution because the field is horizontal. And of course, without coordination and without collaboration, it wouldn't be possible to follow everything that young people need. young people need streets, like young people need infrastructure, they need education, they need employment, and I can go on and on and on. And this is probably the reason why my role is to be the voice of young people in the government, as well as to promote the issues and the challenges that they have in order to find solutions. So that's what I've been trying to do in this past, well, almost 3 years now.
Bora, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Librazhdi është një qytet mjaft i bukur. Së pari të falenderoj për intervistën. Unë dua të flas pak për Librazhdin, sepse në Librazhd kanë shumë atraksione turistike. Së pari ne kemi parkun e Shebenikut, që është një park nga më të mëdhenjt në Europë dhe është i përbërë me shumë, në pyet janë të përbëra me aishte, me pisha, me dru, me lajsi, e të tjera, plus që kemi dhe 14 liçene të akullnajore që ndodhen në parkun e madh të Shebenikut. Librazhdi është i përfaqësuar nga mjaft shpella. Këtu përmend shpellën e qershoristit, e cila është një shpellë që daton nga shekulli 9 dhe në tavanin e kishës është ndërtuar dishepuj, Maria me dishepujt e saj. Është një atraksion mjaft i bukur për të vizituar. Kemi shpellën e Plakës, kemi burrën e zezë në zonën e Dardhës, sepse Dardha është një nga fshatrat që hyn në 100 fshatrat, edhe Fushstudna. Në të ndodhen burra e zezë, kemi një kulinari të pasur, pra me ushqime tradicionale vendase. Ne presim turistit. Në parkun e Shebenikut është edhe shtegu i biçikletave prej 8 kilometrash, ku turistët mund të shijojnë gjithçka, mund të shijojnë natyrën, mund të shijojnë ushqimin, vendin. Ne këtu kemi dhe festën e mjaltit. Festa e mjaltit, Librazhdi prodhon mjalt, duke filluar nga mjalti i gërshtenjës, mjalti shumë lulësh, pra që janë dhe kurative dhe me mjaft vlera ushqyese.
Në vitin 2024 ka qenë turist.
Sigurisht që si vjet, neve në çeljen e sezonit që u bën në muajin prill, pritëm një grup prej 45 vetash nga Italia. Është kënaqësi sepse në rrugët e qytetit ne shikojmë shumë turistë me biçikleta, me motor, me makina të mëdha. Në Librazhd kalon edhe via Ignatia, është rruga e vjetër, që është rruga që ka lidhur Perëndimin me lindjen dhe fatmirësisht ajo rrugë ekziston e paprekur dhe është e virgjër siç ka qenë në kohë. Kemi urën e Kamarës, që është një atraksion shumë i bukur turistik, vetëm se kemi nevojë që disa gjëra dhe të rikonstruktohen, sepse koha bën punën e vet dhe duhet të rikonstruktohen.
Faktikisht turizmi do arrijë kulmin e saj, besoj, me rregullimin dhe shtrimin e rrugës që po bëhet, e cila lidh Librazhdin me pjesën e Maqedonisë dhe pjesën e Kiprës.
Dhe ne u themi mirë se vini në Librazhd.